Hello everyone, LRon here with part 58 of my total Terraria world Annihilation. So, still cleaning up after the mess of mining too far out. I think my spacing was fine based on what was on the surface, but probably there was stuff below the surface that wasn't good. Like basically where I started mining at the surface, there was a natural hole there that may have been like a chasm or something, and so that threw off the math. But now we are properly in sync again until I get to another one of those chasms. And I guess technically speaking, I wouldn't be pulling any cords at all, given the fact that I don't get a Ethernet port up in the attic that I am in. Yes, as I've mentioned in my CSGO competitive debut, I live in the attic of a bed and breakfast. So I get really cruddy Wi-Fi. And that's about it. But plenty of outlets here, so I get to keep my electricity running at full strength at least. So single player is great, multiplayer kind of gets sketchy, which gives me extra cause to hate PvPers that PvP against my will, because I frankly am at a disadvantage. And I guess I should also clarify, in case people are wondering why I'm randomly talking about Ethernet versus Wi-Fi, because they randomly jumped into this video and didn't watch the video prior. I was originally talking about needing to pull my cord for Dark Souls, but technically that's a misnomer. I would be flipping a setting inside the PS3 instead. But continuing on that previous video's conversation, regardless of whatever I do as my in-between game after Ground Zeroes, I will be doing Phantom Pain after that one. And probably doing more Terraria cohorts at some point in between as well. I generally gotta whittle away at this every now and then, otherwise it'll never get done, and that we can't have that. We need to have total annihilation, and also we need to get that museum in, but that's gotta be a whole nother zoo. Because if you think that destroying everything's bad, think about intellectually placing everything needed to fill this place up. I mean, I have to decide on if I want a common backdrop for everything, or do I want to have things be, divided up into sections so they'd have different wall backings, or, what's the plan? I do know that I'm going to want to hide in 250 blocks of meteorites. Now, mind you, that's chunks, not bars or actual bricks that are crafted. The goal of that is to make it so that this map would be an invalid target for meteorite strikes. Because if you have more than 250 meteorites, you are deemed too unstable to have more, something weird like that. I think it's just something to guarantee that the entire world isn't covered in meteorites, so 250 is roughly the amount you would find if you were to take maybe 2 to 3 meteorites and combine them together. but we most certainly would not want to combine all of these into one central location, because then you start spawning meteorite monsters, and meteorite monsters is not something I want happening in my museum. So probably I've got enough of the stuff chunked together to just barely not start spawning those monsters in the proper exhibit of the museum that showcases the meteorites. And then I just have some dedicated areas along the perimeter that basically have it lined so that we get credit for all that good stuff. And there's some other considerations as well, such as the fact that if I wanted to showcase one of everything, it would probably take up considerably less space than the entire map. If I wanted to make a proper museum that prominently puts everything the game has to offer on display. Now, I'm not great at gauging these kinds of things, but I'd have to expect that I'd only be using less than a third of the map. I said I'm not great at gauging these things, given the fact that I had at one point estimated that this entire project would have, for destruction, would have taken 2 to 3 hours, and then I bumped it up to 5 to 6 hours, and now we're still at this many hours after the fact. But I'll probably get clever and kind of milk it out, because historically, in Terraria, you only make, floors be like 4 or 5 blocks high, but I can make this be proper, like, grandiose, gigantic halls style, where the ceilings are extremely high and that kind of stuff, and make it so that a room takes up an entire screen or something like that. So I can probably stretch it quite a bit, but it would still take up far less than a small world. Then I've got to figure out what I want to do with the NPCs. Do I want to make a NPC exhibit where they're all kind of just showcased in like little cells that they can't get out of, or do I want them to just randomly have rooms spread throughout the museum and you have to kind of play Where is Waldo to find them? These are the questions that keep me up at night. Not really. Things that keep me up at night are insomnia. But it's always fun to have a dumb question as a scapegoat for my lack of ability to sleep. Not sure if I've mentioned this yet or not, but then there's just the logistics of physically placing things in aesthetically pleasing ways. With this, I'm just blindly destroying because I know I want it all out. But, anyone could toss a stick of dynamite into a building and make it fall down. It takes an architect to build something up. So, yeah, that's certainly going to take more time than this, that's for sure. Alright, I will see you next video.